The hammering sound echoed across the Wyoming plains like a gunshot, and ranch owner Cole Brennan pulled his horse to a sudden halt, squinting against the late afternoon sun to identify the source of such precise, rapid work on his property's southern boundary. It was June of 1882, and the Brennan Ranch sprawled across 3,000 acres of prime grazing land just outside the small town of Laramie. Cole had inherited the spread from his father 2 years prior, and at 26 years old, he took pride in running one of the most prosperous cattle operations in the territory. His crew consisted of 12 men, all seasoned ranch hands who knew their way around livestock, leather, and the endless miles of fencing that kept the operation secure. But what he witnessed now made him question everything he thought he knew about capable workers. A woman stood at the fence line, her dark hair pulled back in a practical braid that hung down past her shoulders. She wore men's trousers, dusty boots, and a simple cotton shirt with the sleeves rolled up to her elbows. Her hands moved with remarkable speed and precision, wrapping wire, securing posts, and moving to the next section with an efficiency that seemed almost impossible. Cole had ridden out to check on his crew's progress on this particular stretch of fence, a project he had assigned 3 days ago. His men had barely completed a quarter-mile in that time. This woman, working alone, appeared to have finished at least another half-mile, and the quality of her work looked superior to what his experienced hands had produced. Cole dismounted, his boots hitting the dry grass with a soft thud. He approached slowly, studying her technique. She did not notice him at first, so focused was she on her task. Her movements were economical, wasting no motion or energy. She positioned each post with mathematical precision, tested the tension of the wire with practiced fingers, and secured everything with knots that would hold through Wyoming's brutal winters and scorching summers. "Ma'am," Cole finally called out, stopping a respectful distance away. She whirled around, her hand instinctively moving to the hammer at her belt. Her eyes were a striking shade of green, sharp and assessing. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, sizing one another up in the way people did in this territory where trust was earned slowly and lost quickly. "You are on Brennan land," Cole said, keeping his tone neutral despite his curiosity. "Mind telling me what you are doing?" The woman straightened, wiping sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. "Name is Catherine Mercer. Most people call me Kate. And I am fixing your fence because it needed fixing." Her voice carried a slight Eastern accent, refined but not pretentious. "I have been traveling through for the past week, and I noticed your crew working this section. They were doing it wrong. The posts were not set deep enough and the wire tension was inconsistent. It would not last through next winter." Cole felt a flash of defensive irritation on behalf of his men, but he could not argue with what he saw before him. Her work was exceptional. "That still does not explain why you are doing it. My men get paid for that work." Kate shrugged, picking up another section of wire. "I needed something to do while I camped nearby. Sitting idle does not suit me. Consider it payment for using your water source and grazing my horse on your land without permission." There was a directness to her that Cole found both refreshing and unnerving. Most women in Laramie wore dresses and concerned themselves with households and children. Those who worked did so in shops, boarding houses, or schools. He had never encountered a woman who could mend fences, let alone do it better than trained ranch hands. "Where did you learn to work like this?" Cole asked, moving closer to examine her handiwork. "The knots were perfect, the posts solid. My father owned a ranch in Colorado," Kate replied, returning to her work as she spoke. "He had 3 daughters, no sons. He needed help, so he taught us everything. My older sister hated it, married young, and moved to Denver. My younger sister tolerated it until she found a school teacher who swept her off her feet, but I loved it. The work, the animals, the land. It made sense to me in a way nothing else ever has. Your father's still running that ranch." Kate's hands stilled for just a moment, a flicker of pain crossing her face. "He died last autumn. Pneumonia. The ranch went to my uncle, my father's brother. He made it clear there was no place for me there, said it was not proper for an unmarried woman to run cattle or work land. He wanted me to move in with my married sister and help with her children, live as a dependent. So you left, Cole said, understanding dawning. So I left, Kate confirmed, her jaw set with determination. I have been traveling through Wyoming and Montana, picking up work where I can find it. Ranch work, fence mending, breaking horses. Some places hire me, some do not, but I am good at what I do and I will not apologize for that. Cole studied her for a long moment. He thought of his crew, good men but set in their ways. He thought of the endless work that came with running a ranch this size. He thought of the quality of the fence before him and the speed with which she had completed it. An idea began forming in his mind, audacious and unconventional, but Cole had not built his success by playing it safe. "How would you like a job?" he asked. Kate looked up sharply, surprise evident in her expression. "Doing what, Foreman?" Cole said simply. She laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "You have a crew already, men who have probably worked for your family for years. You want to put a woman they have never met in charge of them." "I want to put the most capable person in charge of them," Cole corrected. "And from what I have seen in the last 10 minutes, that person is you. My current foreman, Dutch Harrison, is getting older and has been wanting to take a less demanding role. He has earned the right to focus on the horses, which is his real passion anyway. The fence work, the range maintenance, the day-to-day management of the crew, that is what I need help with." Kate set down her tools, giving Cole her full attention. "Your men will not respect me. They will resent taking orders from a woman." "They will respect results," Cole said firmly. "And if they do not, they can find work elsewhere. I run this ranch and I make the decisions. If you can do the job better than anyone else, the job is yours." He paused, then added, "Fair wages, room in the bunkhouse or the main house if you prefer separate quarters, and meals included." He could see her thinking, weighing the offer, examining it for pitfalls. Kate Mercer was nobody's fool. She had clearly learned hard lessons about trust and promises. "I will need to see it through the first month," she said finally. "Prove myself, prove the arrangement can work. If it does not, I move on with no hard feelings and a month's wages." Cole extended his hand. "Deal." Kate's grip was firm, her palm calloused from work. The handshake sealed more than just an employment agreement. It marked the beginning of something neither of them could have predicted. The next morning, Cole assembled his crew in front of the main barn. 12 men ranging in age from 19 to 56 stood in a rough semicircle, their expressions curious and slightly wary. They had heard rumors that the boss had something unusual to announce. Dutch Harrison stood to Cole's right, his weathered face neutral but his blue eyes sharp with interest. At 53, Dutch had worked for Cole's father for over 20 years and had seen the ranch through good times and bad. He was respected by every man there, and his opinion carried weight. Kate stood to Cole's left, and he noted with approval that she had not tried to soften her appearance. She wore the same practical clothing as the day before, her hair in the same neat braid, her stance confident without being aggressive. "Men, I want to introduce you to Kate Mercer," Cole began. "As of today, she is the new foreman of fence and range operations. Dutch will be transitioning to managing the horse operation full-time, which we all know has needed dedicated attention." The silence that followed was heavy. Cole saw shock, confusion, and on a few faces, outright hostility. One of the older hands, a man named Garrett who had always been prone to complaining, spoke up first. "Boss, you cannot be serious. A woman? We are supposed to take orders from a woman." Before Cole could respond, Dutch spoke up, his gravelly voice cutting through the tension. "I saw her fence work yesterday evening, best I have seen in 30 years of ranching. If she can teach you boys to work like that, you would be smart to listen." Kate stepped forward slightly. "I understand this is unusual," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the group. "I know most of you have never worked under a woman, and some of you think it is wrong or unnatural. I cannot change your minds about that. What I can do is show you that I know this work inside and out. I can make your jobs easier by organizing better, planning smarter, and teaching techniques that will save time and effort. Give me 2 weeks. If at the end of that time you think I am not doing right by this crew, tell Cole and I will step aside. It was a smart move, Cole thought. She was not demanding their respect but offering to earn it. A younger hand named Samuel, barely 20 but keen and hardworking, spoke up. What kind of techniques? Kate's expression warmed slightly. For fence work, proper post setting that accounts for frost heave, wire tensioning that allows for temperature expansion and contraction, and not work that holds under stress without requiring constant maintenance. For range work, better rotation patterns that give the grass recovery time, identifying and addressing erosion before it becomes a problem, and water source management that keeps the cattle healthy and growing. I also know cattle medicine, basic veterinary work, and I can break horses if needed. Another hand, a man named Tommy who was generally friendly and open-minded, grinned. You break horses. I would like to see that. You will, Kate promised. We have a 3-year-old gelding in the far pen that nobody has wanted to tackle. I will work with him this week. Cole watched the dynamics shift. Not everyone was convinced, but he could see curiosity beginning to override resistance in some faces. It was a start. Get to work, Cole said. Kate, Dutch with me. We need to go over the current projects and priorities. As the crew dispersed, Cole caught several of them casting backward glances at Kate. He knew the next few weeks would be challenging, but he had a feeling that Kate Mercer was more than up to the task. They spent the rest of the morning in the ranch office, a room in the main house filled with ledgers, maps, and the organized chaos of running a large operation. Dutch laid out the current state of affairs with his usual thoroughness. The southern fence line needed another mile of repair. The northern pastures needed rotation within the week. A section of the creek that provided water to the eastern grazing lands was clogging with debris and needed clearing. They had 50 head of cattle that needed moving to higher ground before the summer heat intensified. And the aforementioned gelding, a beautiful but stubborn paint horse, needed breaking if they planned to use him. Kate listened intently, occasionally asking questions that revealed her deep understanding of ranch operations. She asked about soil composition, weather patterns, the history of various pastures, and the individual strengths and weaknesses of the crew members. Cole found himself impressed by both the quality and the specificity of her questions. She was not just gathering information, she was building a complete mental picture of the operation. The fence work is the priority, Kate said finally. Good fences mean secure cattle, and secure cattle mean consistent income. Everything else flows from that. I will take 6 men and finish the southern line within the week. Dutch, you take Samuel and Tommy and work with the horses. They have shown interest, and good horsemen are always valuable. Cole, you oversee the northern rotation with the remaining crew. We reconvene in 5 days and assess progress. It was presumptuous, perhaps, for someone on her first official day to be assigning tasks, but Cole recognized good leadership when he saw it. She had identified the core priority, allocated resources efficiently, and set a clear timeline. He nodded his approval. Agreed. Dutch. The older man smiled slightly. She is bossy. I like her. Kate spent that first afternoon working alongside the 6 men assigned to fence duty. She did not bark orders or stand back supervising. Instead, she worked harder than any of them, setting the pace and demonstrating techniques as she went. She showed them how to dig post holes to the optimal depth, how to angle the posts slightly to account for frost heave, and how to create wire tension that would hold through temperature swings. Initially, the men were stiff and uncommunicative, especially Garrett, who made his disapproval clear through sullen silence. But as the hours passed and they saw the quality and speed of the work improving, attitudes began to shift. Kate answered questions patiently, offered praise when someone mastered a technique, and never talked down to anyone. She treated them as fellow workers, not as subordinates to be dominated. By the time the sun began setting, painting the Wyoming sky in shades of orange and purple, they had completed more fence line in one day than the crew typically managed in two. The men were tired but visibly satisfied with their work. Even Garrett seemed grudgingly impressed, though he said nothing. Kate walked back to the main ranch compound alongside a hand named Marcus, a quiet man in his early 30s who rarely spoke but worked steadily. "You did good work today," Kate said. "That corner post you set will hold for 20 years. Marcus glanced at her, surprise flickering across his face. "Thank you, ma'am. You know your business." "Call me Kate," she said. "We are crew, no need for formality." Over dinner that night in the main house, Cole invited both Dutch and Kate to join him. The arrangement was unusual. Typically, Foreman ate with the crew in the bunkhouse. But Cole wanted to discuss the day and plan for the week ahead without the formality of a business meeting. His housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, a Chinese woman who had come to Wyoming with her late husband during the railroad construction and stayed after his death, served a hearty meal of beef stew, fresh bread, and apple pie. She was an excellent cook and ran Cole's household with quiet efficiency. "First day impressions?" Cole asked as they ate. "Your crew is skilled but underutilized," Kate said bluntly. "They have been doing things the same way for so long that they have stopped thinking about whether there are better methods. They are not lazy, just habitual. That can be changed." "Garrett is going to be a problem," Dutch observed. "He has always been resistant to change." "Garrett is testing me," Kate corrected. "He wants to see if I will break or if I will match him. I have dealt with men like him before. He will come around or he will not, but I will not let him undermine the work." Cole appreciated her realism. She was not naive about the challenges ahead. "What about the others?" "Samuel and Tommy are solid. They have good instincts. Marcus does excellent work but lacks confidence. He needs encouragement more than instruction. The younger hands follow the lead of the older ones, so winning over the veterans is key." Kate paused, taking a sip of water. "This is good land, Cole. Your father built something worth preserving here." There was genuine appreciation in her voice, and Cole felt a surge of pride. The ranch was his legacy, his responsibility, and his passion. Hearing someone else recognize its value mattered more than he expected. "My father used to say that land is patient," Cole said. "It will forgive mistakes if you are willing to learn from them and do better. I have tried to run this place with that philosophy." "It shows," Kate said. "The cattle are healthy, the buildings are well maintained, and the men respect you. That is not something you can buy, it has to be earned." After dinner, Cole walked Kate out to the small cabin that had been prepared for her. It was originally built for a married foreman who had worked for Cole's father years ago, before the man moved on to start his own spread. The cabin had 2 rooms, a main living space with a small kitchen area and a separate bedroom. It was simple but clean and private. "This is more than I expected," Kate said, looking around. "I have been sleeping on the ground for months." "You are foreman," Cole said. "You need space to keep records, plan work, and have privacy when you need it. Besides, putting you in the bunkhouse seemed like asking for trouble, at least initially." Kate smiled, a genuine expression that softened her features. "Practical and diplomatic, your father taught you well." "He tried," Cole said. "I am still learning." They stood there for a moment, an oddly comfortable silence settling between them. Cole found himself noticing details he had not paid attention to before, the way lamplight caught the copper highlights in Kate's dark hair, the small scar above her left eyebrow, the calluses on her hands that matched his own. She was pretty, he realized, though not in the delicate, ornamental way society typically prized. Kate was pretty in the way a well-made saddle was handsome, beautiful in function and form. "I should let you rest," Cole said, suddenly aware that he had been staring. "Tomorrow will be another long day." "They all are," Kate said, but her tone was content rather than complaining. "Thank you, Cole, for the opportunity. I will not let you down." "I know," he said simply, and he meant it. The next several days established a rhythm. Kate and her crew worked the southern fence line with remarkable speed and precision. Cole and his group managed the northern pasture rotation, moving cattle systematically to ensure the grass had time to recover. Dutch worked with Samuel and Tommy on the horses, and their enthusiasm made up for their initial lack of expertise. Each evening, Cole, Dutch, and Kate would meet to review progress and plan the next day. These meetings became something Cole looked forward to. Kate had a sharp mind and a dry sense of humor that emerged once she felt comfortable. Dutch told stories from his decades of ranch work, some funny and some harrowing. Cole found himself relaxing in ways he rarely did, sharing not just the business of the ranch but his thoughts on its future. "I want to expand the operation," Cole admitted one evening. "There is land to the west, about 500 acres, that the owner is looking to sell. Good grazing, natural water sources, and it would connect 2 sections of our current property. But it would require a significant investment and more hands." "Can you afford it?" Kate asked practically. "Barely," Cole admitted. "It would stretch resources thin for the first year, but long-term it would increase capacity by nearly 20%. More cattle, more revenue, more stability." "Land is always a good investment if you can manage it properly," Kate said, "but only if you have the crew to handle the expansion. Adding acreage without adding capable workers is a recipe for failure. What if we had the right foreman to manage that expansion?" Cole asked, looking at her directly. Kate met his gaze, understanding the implication. "You would need to be certain. Gambling your ranch's future on someone you have known for a week is risky." "I am a good judge of character," Cole said, "and I am not gambling, I am investing in proven quality." Dutch chuckled. "He has already made up his mind, Kate. When Cole gets that stubborn look, no amount of arguing will change it. The question is whether you are willing to take it on." Kate was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Let me finish the southern fence. Let me prove that I can see a major project through from start to finish. Then we talk about expansion." It was a fair response, and Cole nodded agreement. But inside, he felt a growing certainty that Kate Mercer was not just passing through. She was someone who could help build something lasting. The breakthrough with the crew came on the 5th day. They were working a particularly difficult section of fence where the ground was rocky and uneven. Garrett, who had maintained his sullen attitude all week, was struggling with a post that refused to set properly. Kate watched him wrestle with it for a few minutes, then stepped in. "The problem is the angle," she said. "The rock underneath is forcing the post to cant. If you dig 6 inches to the left and angle the post slightly back, it will wedge against the rock instead of fighting it. Use the natural structure instead of trying to overcome it." Garrett looked skeptical but moved the hole as she suggested. The post sank smoothly and held firm when he tamped the dirt around it. He tested it, pushing hard, and it did not budge. "Well, I will be damned," he muttered. "It is about working with the land, not against it," Kate said. "My father used to say that nature is stronger than any man, so smart men learn to partner with it." Garrett looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Your father was right." It was not an apology or a declaration of loyalty, but it was acceptance. From that point on, Garrett's attitude shifted. He still did not say much, but he listened when Kate spoke and followed her instructions without resistance. The other men noticed and took their cue from him. That evening, when the crew returned to the ranch, Samuel approached Cole as he was checking on some cattle in the near pasture. "Boss, I wanted to say that hiring Kate was a smart move. We have gotten more done this week than in the last month. And I have learned more in 5 days than in the past year." Cole felt a deep satisfaction. His gamble was paying off. "She is something special," he agreed. "Are you planning to keep her on permanent?" Samuel asked. "Because if so, I think you should make it clear to the crew. Some of them are still thinking this is temporary." It was a good point. Uncertainty bred anxiety, and Cole wanted his crew focused on work, not worrying about changes. He decided to address it at the next group meeting, but that night, something else occupied his mind. After dinner, he found himself walking toward Kate's cabin without quite planning to. A lamp burned in the window, and when he knocked, she opened the door with a quizzical expression. "Something wrong?" she asked. "No," Cole said. "I just wanted to talk if you are not too tired." Kate stepped aside, gesturing him in. The cabin was tidy, with Kate's few possessions neatly stored. A book lay open on the small table, and Cole glanced at the title, Shakespeare's Sonnets. "I did not expect that," he said, nodding toward the book. Kate smiled. "My mother was a teacher before she married my father. She believed that working the land did not mean abandoning the mind. She taught all of us to read, to think, to appreciate beauty in words as well as in landscapes." "Do you miss her?" "Every day," Kate said softly. "She died when I was 16, childbirth. The baby did not survive either. My father was never quite the same after that. He worked harder, taught us more, but there was a sadness in him that never fully left." Cole understood that kind of loss. His own mother had died when he was 12, thrown from a horse during a storm. The grief had shaped him, made him serious and careful in ways his father had worried about. "We carry our losses," Cole said, "but we build on them too. Everything good I do with this ranch, I do partly for my father and mother, to honor what they started." "That is a good way to look at it," Kate said. They sat in companionable silence for a moment before she asked, "Why did you really come here tonight, Cole?" He considered lying or deflecting, but Kate deserved honesty. "I wanted to tell you that I am making your position permanent. This trial period was really just to give the crew time to adjust. I knew from the first day that you were the right person for this job." Kate studied him, her green eyes searching his face. "That is a big commitment. What if I decide to move on? Will you?" Cole asked. "I do not know," Kate admitted. "I have been drifting for months, telling myself I was looking for the right place. But maybe I was just afraid to commit to anything, afraid of being hurt or disappointed again." "I cannot promise you will never be hurt or disappointed," Cole said, "but I can promise that as long as you work here, you will be valued and respected. And if you ever want to leave, you will do so with my gratitude and a recommendation that will open doors anywhere." Kate smiled. "You are a good man, Cole Brennan. Your parents would be proud of the person you have become." The compliment touched something deep inside him, and Cole felt a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the summer temperature. He found himself noticing the curve of Kate's mouth, the intelligence in her eyes, the quiet strength in her posture. She was unlike any woman he had ever known, and he was drawn to her in ways that went beyond respect for her skills. "I should go," Cole said, standing abruptly. He was venturing into dangerous territory, mixing business with feelings that had no place in an employer and employee relationship. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we start on that creek clearing." If Kate noticed his sudden awkwardness, she did not mention it. "Good night, Cole." He walked back to the main house under a sky full of stars, his mind churning with thoughts he could not quite organize. He was attracted to Kate Mercer. It was an inconvenient truth, one that complicated everything. She worked for him. She trusted him to be honorable and professional. Acting on his feelings would be a betrayal of that trust and could cost him the best foreman he had ever had. Cole resolved to push the attraction aside and focus on the work. It was the right thing to do, the only thing to do. For the next 2 weeks, Cole kept his interactions with Kate strictly professional. They discussed ranch business, made decisions about resource allocation, and coordinated the crew. Kate led the effort to clear the creek, a muddy and exhausting job that nonetheless got completed ahead of schedule. She then turned her attention to the gelding that had been waiting in the far pen. The horse was a beautiful paint, white with large brown patches, and a temperament that had defeated 3 different hands. He was not mean, just stubborn and skittish, a bad combination that made him dangerous to work with. Kate spent 3 days just sitting in the pen with him, not trying to touch him, just being present. The crew thought she was wasting time, but Cole watched from a distance and saw the method in her patience. On the 4th day, the gelding approached her. On the 5th, he let her touch his neck. By the end of the week, Kate had a halter on him and was leading him around the pen. 2 weeks later, she had a saddle on him, and a week after that, she rode him out into the open range. "How did you do that?" Samuel asked, awe clear in his voice. "We all tried to force him, and he nearly killed Marcus." "Horses are like people," Kate explained. "They respond to trust, not force. He had been mishandled before we got him, probably beaten or scared. He needed to learn that humans could be safe. Once he believed that, the rest was just patience and consistency." Cole watched her ride the gelding, now named Jasper, across the pasture and felt his resolve weakening. Kate was extraordinary. She was skilled, intelligent, patient, and kind. She made the ranch better, made the crew better, and if he was honest with himself, made him better too. She challenged his assumptions, offered new perspectives, and worked harder than anyone he had ever met, and he was falling in love with her. The realization hit him one evening in late July. They were standing on a ridge overlooking the ranch, reviewing the fence work that was now nearly complete. The sun was setting, bathing everything in golden light. Kate was pointing out a section that would need attention in the fall, her voice calm and professional. Cole barely heard the words. He was too busy watching the way the light caught her hair, the animation in her face when she talked about the land, the capable grace in her movements. "Are you listening?" Kate asked, turning to look at him. "No," Cole admitted. "I was thinking about something else." "Anything you want to share?" "Everything," Cole thought. "I want to share everything with you," but he said, just appreciating the view. Kate smiled. "It is beautiful. I understand why you love this place so much." They stood in silence, watching the sun sink toward the horizon. Cole felt the words building inside him, the need to speak the truth almost overwhelming. But fear held him back. Fear of rejection, of ruining what they had built, of losing her. "Kate," he began, then stopped. She turned to him, her expression open and questioning. "Yes." The moment stretched between them, full of possibility and risk. Cole took a breath, gathering courage, and then a shout from below shattered the silence. "Boss, Kate, we got trouble." They both turned to see Tommy riding hard toward them, his horse lathered with sweat. Cole felt his stomach drop. Nothing good came from that kind of urgency. Tommy pulled up beside them, breathing hard. "Cattle got through a break in the east fence. They are on the Peterson property, and old man Peterson is threatening to shoot them if we do not get them out. He's got his sons with him, and they are armed." Cole swore. Peterson was a neighbor who had been feuding with Cole's father for decades over a property line dispute that had never been fully resolved. The old man was bitter and vindictive, and his 3 sons were cut from the same cloth. If cattle had gotten onto his land, he would see it as an excuse to cause trouble. "How many head?" Kate asked, already moving toward her horse. "Maybe 20, Tommy said. "They got through about 2 hours ago. I just spotted them." "Gather the crew," Cole said. "We are going to get our cattle back. Kate, you are with me. Tommy, tell Dutch to stay here and keep an eye on the main herd." Within 20 minutes, they were riding east with 8 men, all armed. Cole hoped it would not come to violence, but Peterson was unpredictable. They found the cattle grazing on Peterson's land, and true to Tommy's word, Peterson and his 3 sons were waiting, all holding rifles. "Those are my cattle, Peterson," Cole called out, keeping his voice level. "They got through a fence break. We are here to collect them and repair the fence." "Your cattle trespassed on my land," Peterson snarled. He was a wiry man in his 60s with a face like old leather and eyes full of meanness. "I got the right to compensation." "You have the right to nothing," Cole said. "Cattle wander, it happens." "We will have them off your property within the hour." "Not until I get paid for the grass they ate and the inconvenience," Peterson insisted. Kate moved her horse forward slightly, her posture relaxed but alert. "Mr. Peterson, we can resolve this peacefully. Nobody wants trouble. Let us collect our cattle, we will repair the fence, and everyone can go home." Peterson turned his attention to Kate, his expression twisting with contempt. "Who is this? You bringing women to do your fighting now, Brennan?" "This is my foreman," Cole said, his voice hard. "And you will speak to her with respect." Peterson laughed, a harsh sound. "Foreman, you have lost your mind, boy. A woman running a ranch crew, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard." Cole felt his temper flare, but before he could respond, Kate spoke again, her tone calm but carrying an edge of steel. "Mr. Peterson, your opinion of me is irrelevant. What matters is that we are removing livestock from your property in accordance with territorial law. You can cooperate, or you can try to stop us and end up explaining to the sheriff why you threatened armed men who were recovering their own property. Your choice." One of Peterson's sons, a man in his 30s with his father's mean eyes, raised his rifle slightly. "You got a smart mouth, lady. And you have a legal problem if you point that weapon at anyone here," Kate replied. She had not drawn her own gun, but her hand rested on her saddle, and Cole knew she was armed. Most of the crew was watching her with a mixture of surprise and admiration. The standoff held for several long seconds. Then Peterson lowered his rifle slightly, his jaw working with suppressed rage. "Get your damned cattle and get off my land." Cole nodded to the crew, and they moved quickly, herding the wayward cattle back toward Brennan property. Kate stayed mounted between the crew and the Petersons, her posture relaxed but watchful. Cole stayed beside her, equally alert. The Petersons were the kind of men who might shoot someone in the back and claim self-defense. But the cattle were gathered without incident, and soon they were back on Brennan land. Cole positioned 3 men to start repairing the fence break, while the rest drove the cattle back to the main herd. "That was well handled," Cole said to Kate as they rode back together. "Peterson is a bully," Kate said. "Bullies back down when you stand firm, but he is also dangerous. He will look for ways to cause problems." "He has been doing that for years," Cole said. "My father fought with him constantly over property lines, water rights, and anything else Peterson could think of. The man thrives on conflict." "Men like that usually do," Kate said. "They see cooperation as weakness. The only language they respect is strength." They returned to the ranch as darkness fell, and Cole called a meeting with the crew. "Good work today," he told them. "Nobody got hurt, the cattle are safe, and we showed we can handle trouble without escalating it. Tomorrow we check every fence line on the property. I want to know if there are other weak points before more cattle wander." As the crew dispersed, Kate remained behind. "That was about more than cattle," she said quietly. "Peterson was testing you. He wanted to see if having a woman as foreman made you look weak. And what did he learn?" Cole asked. Kate smiled. "That you do not back down and that your foreman can handle herself, but he will try again. Men like that do not stop." "Let him try," Cole said. "We will be ready." They walked together toward Kate's cabin, the night air cool and filled with the sound of crickets. Cole felt the earlier moment on the ridge returning, the need to speak his feelings. But now did not seem like the right time either. There would never be a perfect moment, he realized. Life on a ranch was constant work and occasional crisis. If he waited for everything to be calm and settled, he would wait forever. "Kate," he said, stopping outside her door, "there is something I need to tell you." She turned to face him, her expression serious. "I think I know what you are going to say." Cole's heart hammered in his chest. "You do." "You have feelings for me," Kate said softly. "I have seen it in the way you look at me, the way you find excuses to be near me, and if I am honest, I have been struggling with my own feelings." Hope and fear warred inside Cole. "What kind of feelings?" Kate took a breath. "I am attracted to you. You are intelligent, honorable, and you treat people with respect regardless of their station. You have given me opportunities I never thought I would have again. But you are also my employer, and I am your foreman. Acting on these feelings could complicate everything we have built." "I know," Cole said. "I have been telling myself the same thing for weeks, but Kate, I cannot ignore this. You are the most remarkable woman I have ever met. You challenge me, inspire me, and make me want to be better. I am falling in love with you, and I needed you to know that." The words hung in the air between them, vulnerable and true. Kate's eyes shone in the lamplight, and Cole saw his own uncertainty reflected there. "I am falling in love with you too," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I am terrified. The last time I let myself depend on someone, I lost everything. My father died, my family turned against me, and I ended up alone. I cannot go through that again. Cole stepped closer, close enough to take her hand gently in his. I cannot promise you will never experience loss. Life is too uncertain for that, but I can promise that I will never turn you away. Whatever we build as equals. Your voice matters. Your choices matter. You matter. Tears glistened in Kate's eyes and she squeezed his hand. I do not know how to do this, balance work and feelings. Be your foreman and something more. We figure it out together, Cole said. We take it slow, we communicate, and we make sure we are both comfortable with how things progress. But Kate, I do not want to lose the chance to see where this could go. She looked up at him, and in her eyes Cole saw the same longing he felt. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle and tentative, a question as much as a declaration. Kate's lips were soft against his, and when she kissed him back, Cole felt something inside him settle into place, like he had been searching for this exact moment his entire life. When they broke apart, both slightly breathless, Kate smiled. That was nice. Just nice, Cole teased. Wonderful, Kate corrected. Terrifying and wonderful. They stood there for a moment longer, hands still clasped, before Kate said, I should go inside, we have a full day tomorrow. We always do, Cole agreed, but he kissed her once more before stepping back. That night, Cole lay in his bed staring at the ceiling, a smile on his face despite the complications ahead. He was in love with Kate Mercer, and miraculously she felt the same way. Whatever challenges that brought, they would face them together. The next weeks passed in a blur of work and growing intimacy. Cole and Kate were careful to maintain professionalism around the crew, but they stole moments together when they could. Evening walks, quiet conversations after dinner, and stolen kisses in the barn. Cole felt like he was living two lives, the serious ranch owner during the day and a man giddy with new love in the private moments. Dutch, perceptive as always, figured out what was happening within days. He cornered Cole one morning while they were reviewing supply orders. You are courting Kate, Dutch said bluntly. Cole considered denying it but saw no point. Yes. Good, Dutch said, surprising him. She is perfect for you, matches your work ethic, challenges your thinking, and she makes you smile. I have not seen you this happy since before your father died. You do not think it is a problem? Cole asked. Her being foreman and us being involved? Only if you make it a problem, Dutch said. Treat her fairly, do not let your personal feelings interfere with ranch decisions, and be honest with the crew when the time comes. They respect both of you. They will adjust. It was good advice, and Cole took it to heart. He and Kate established boundaries. They did not discuss their relationship during work hours unless necessary. They did not show physical affection in front of the crew. And they made ranch decisions based on what was best for the operation, not what was comfortable for their relationship. But in private, they grew closer. Kate shared stories of her childhood, her mother's teachings, and the pain of losing her family home. Cole talked about the pressure of living up to his father's legacy, his dreams for the ranch's future, and his loneliness over the past 2 years. I dated some, Cole admitted one evening as they sat on the porch of Kate's cabin. Women from town, daughters of other ranchers. But it never felt right. They wanted me to be something I was not, softer maybe or more social, more interested in town life than ranch life. None of them understood that this land is part of who I am. I understand, Kate said. The land gets into your blood. It is not just what you do, it is who you are. Exactly, Cole said, squeezing her hand. In late August, Cole made his move on the western property he had discussed with Kate weeks earlier. He negotiated a fair price with the owner and secured a loan to cover the purchase. It was a risk, one that would strain finances for the next year, but Kate had helped him plan the expansion carefully. They would increase the crew by 4 hands, allocate specific pastures for the additional cattle, and phase in the expansion over 2 seasons rather than rushing it. The day the property officially became part of the Brennan Ranch, Cole celebrated with the crew. He provided extra rations of whiskey and a special dinner prepared by Mrs. Chen. During the celebration, he pulled Kate aside. "None of this would have happened without you," he said. "Your planning, your work ethic, your belief that we could make it happen. Thank you," Kate smiled. "We are partners in this, Cole. Your vision, my execution. Together we make a good team. In everything," Cole said, meaning it. As summer turned to autumn, Cole knew he wanted to marry Kate. The realization did not come as a sudden epiphany, but as a gradual certainty that grew stronger each day. She was his match in every way that mattered. She understood his work, shared his values, and made him happier than he had ever thought possible. The question was when and how to propose. Dutch provided unexpected advice during a long day of moving cattle to lower pastures in preparation for winter. "You are thinking about marrying her," Dutch said. "Is it that obvious?" Cole asked. "To anyone who pays attention, yes," Dutch said. "So when are you going to ask her?" "I do not know," Cole admitted. "I want it to be special, meaningful, not just some casual conversation. Kate is not a woman who needs grand gestures," Dutch said. "She needs honesty and commitment. Tell her what she means to you, tell her what you want to build together, and ask her to marry you. The where and when matter less than the sincerity." It was good counsel, but Cole still wanted the moment to be right. That opportunity came in early October. The weather had been beautiful, the autumn colors painting the landscape in gold and crimson. Cole suggested a ride to the western boundary of the ranch, the new property, to check on progress. They rode together through pastures rich with healthy cattle, past fence lines that were secure and well-maintained, and up to a ridge that overlooked the entire operation. From this vantage point, you could see the full scope of what they had built together. "When I was a boy, my father brought me here," Cole said. "He told me that a ranch is more than land and cattle. It is a legacy, a commitment to the future. He said that the mark of a good rancher is not just building something for yourself, but building something that lasts beyond you." Kate looked out over the vista, her expression thoughtful. "Your father was wise. He would have liked you," Cole said. "He always said that true strength is not about size or force, but about resilience and adaptability. You embody that." Kate turned to him, and Cole saw curiosity and something deeper in her eyes. "I want to build a future," Cole continued. "Not just for the ranch, but for us. Kate, you have become the most important person in my life. You are my partner, my best friend, and the woman I love. I cannot imagine facing the future without you by my side." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring. It was simple, a gold band with a small emerald that matched Kate's eyes. "This belonged to my mother. My father gave it to her when they got engaged. He told me to save it for someone who would treasure it, not for its value, but for what it represented." Cole took Kate's hand, his heart pounding. "Kate Mercer, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Kate's face, but she was smiling. "Yes," she said, her voice strong despite the tears. "Yes, I will marry you." Cole slipped the ring onto her finger, and then he pulled her into his arms, kissing her with all the love and joy he felt. When they finally broke apart, both laughing and crying, Kate said, "I never thought I would have this. A home, a partner, a future. You have given me everything." "We have given each other everything," Cole corrected, "and we are just beginning." They rode back to the ranch hand in hand, and that evening Cole announced their engagement to the crew. There was a moment of surprised silence, then Samuel started clapping. The rest of the crew joined in, and soon everyone was congratulating them. "About time," Garrett said gruffly. "Anyone with eyes could see you two were meant for each other." Mrs. Chen hugged Kate, tears of happiness on her face. "You will be so happy together," she said. "I have prayed for Mr. Cole to find a good woman, and you are the best." Even Dutch, not usually demonstrative, shook Cole's hand firmly. "You did good, son, real good." The wedding took place in late October. It was a simple ceremony held at the ranch, with the crew, a few neighbors, and the minister from Laramie in attendance. Kate wore a dress of deep blue that complemented her eyes, and Cole wore his best suit. They exchanged vows under the open sky, promising to love and support each other through whatever life brought. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Cole kissed Kate as the crew cheered. It was a perfect moment, the culmination of a journey that had started with Kate mending fences and had led to them building a life together. The celebration lasted into the evening. Mrs. Chen had prepared a feast, and someone had brought a fiddle. There was dancing, laughter, and toasts to the new couple. Cole danced with Kate under the stars, holding her close and feeling a contentment he had never known. "Are you happy?" he asked her. "More than I ever thought possible," Kate said. "This is home, Cole, you are home." They spent their wedding night in the main house, in Cole's room that was now their room. They made love for the first time with tenderness and passion, discovering each other with a mixture of nervousness and joy. Afterwards, they lay in each other's arms, Kate's head on Cole's chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "I love you," Cole whispered into the darkness. "I love you too," Kate replied. "Always." The first year of their marriage was one of growth and adjustment. They worked together to manage the expanded ranch, and the operation thrived under their combined leadership. The additional land and cattle increased revenue significantly, allowing Cole to pay down the loan faster than anticipated. Kate continued as foreman, though now she also took on responsibilities in the main house. She and Mrs. Chen developed a warm friendship, and the household ran smoothly. The crew accepted the new dynamic without issue. If anything, seeing Cole and Kate happy together made them work harder, invested in the success of a ranch that felt like more than just a job. Peterson tried to cause trouble a few more times, filing complaints with the territorial government about boundary disputes and water rights. But Cole and Kate had documented everything meticulously, and each complaint was dismissed. Eventually, Peterson's sons grew tired of their father's feuds and moved away, leaving the old man isolated. He stopped causing problems after that, too bitter to engage but lacking the energy or support to continue fighting. In the spring of 1884, Kate discovered she was pregnant. She told Cole one evening after dinner, her expression a mixture of joy and nervousness. "I am going to have a baby," she said simply. Cole felt like the world had stopped. Then a rush of emotion hit him so powerful that tears came to his eyes. He pulled Kate into his arms, holding her tightly. "A baby. We are going to have a baby. Are you happy?" Kate asked. "I am beyond happy," Cole said. "I am overwhelmed, terrified, and happier than I have ever been." They told the crew the next day, and the response was enthusiastic. Mrs. Chen immediately began fussing over Kate, insisting she not work too hard. Dutch grinned widely and declared that the ranch would have its next generation of leadership. Kate continued working through the early months of her pregnancy, though she gradually shifted to lighter duties as her belly grew. She still supervised the crew and planned operations, but Cole and Dutch took on more of the physical work. Kate chafed at the restrictions initially but eventually accepted them with good humor. "I am growing a human," she said one evening. "I suppose that is work enough." Their son was born in late November of 1884, during the first snowfall of winter. The birth was long and difficult, and Cole spent hours pacing outside the bedroom while the midwife and Mrs. Chen attended to Kate. When he finally heard the baby's cry, Cole nearly collapsed with relief. The midwife emerged, smiling. "You have a healthy son, Mr. Brennan, and your wife is tired but well." Cole entered the room to find Kate propped up in bed, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in blankets. Her face was pale and exhausted, but her smile was radiant. "Meet your son," she said softly. Cole approached carefully, almost afraid to touch something so small and precious. The baby had a tuft of dark hair and was sleeping peacefully. Cole reached out and gently touched the tiny hand, and the baby's fingers curled around his thumb. "He is perfect," Cole whispered. "You are perfect." "Thank you, Kate. Thank you for this gift." They named him James after Cole's father. Little James was a good baby, healthy and alert. Cole found himself utterly captivated by his son. He would spend hours just watching the baby sleep, marveling at the tiny features and the miracle of new life. Kate recovered from the birth with her usual resilience. Within weeks, she was back to managing the ranch operations, though she now did so with James in a sling on her back or napping in a basket nearby. The crew was charmed by the baby, and even the gruffest hands would speak in soft voices around him. As James grew from infant to toddler, the ranch continued to prosper. Cole and Kate expanded the operation further, adding more land and diversifying into horse breeding in addition to cattle. Dutch, now in his late 50s, took on a mentoring role for the younger hands while still managing the horse operation with skill and passion. In 1886, Kate gave birth to their second child, a daughter they named Elizabeth after Kate's mother. Elizabeth had Kate's green eyes and Cole's easy smile. She was a lively, curious child who seemed determined to explore everything. The years passed in a rhythm of work, family, and love. James grew into a serious boy who loved helping with the cattle, already showing signs of his father's temperament. Elizabeth was more adventurous, climbing fences and sneaking into the barn to play with the horses. Cole and Kate raised them with the same values they had built their life on: hard work, respect for the land, and integrity in all dealings. In 1888, Peterson died and his property went up for sale. Cole purchased it, not out of revenge but because it was good land and he could afford it. He tore down the old, bitter man's fences and integrated the property into the Brennan Ranch. It felt like closing a chapter on old conflicts and opening a door to a better future. By 1890, the Brennan Ranch was one of the largest and most respected operations in Wyoming. Cole was 34 years old, Kate was 32, and they had built something that would last for generations. James, at 5 years old, could already ride a horse and helped with simple chores. Elizabeth, at 3, was a bright spark of energy who kept everyone on their toes. One evening in late summer, Cole and Kate sat on the porch of the main house, watching the sun set over their land. James and Elizabeth were playing in the yard, their laughter carrying on the breeze. Mrs. Chen was in the kitchen preparing dinner, and from the barn came the sound of Dutch singing an old trail song as he worked. "Do you ever think about that day I found you mending fences?" Cole asked. Kate smiled. "Every day. It was the beginning of everything." "You were mending fences faster than my entire crew combined," Cole said. "I knew right then that you were extraordinary. And you made me your foreman," Kate said. "You took a chance on me when no one else would have." "Best decision I ever made," Cole said. He took her hand, the emerald ring still bright on her finger after all these years. "You gave me a life I did not know I could have, a partnership, a family, a future." "We gave each other that," Kate said. "I was lost when I came here, running from grief and rejection. You showed me that I could have a home again, that I could be valued for who I am, not in spite of it." They sat in comfortable silence, watching their children play. Cole felt a deep contentment, a sense that everything had unfolded exactly as it should. The ranch was thriving. The crew was strong. His family was healthy and happy, and beside him sat the woman who had changed everything. "Do you think we should have more children?" Kate asked suddenly. Cole looked at her in surprise. "Do you want more?" "Maybe," Kate said. "I love our family, but I also love what we have built. I do not want to lose myself in motherhood the way some women do." "You could never lose yourself," Cole said. "You are too strong, too vital. If you want more children, we will have them. If you do not, we will be grateful for the 2 miracles we already have. Either way, I am with you." Kate leaned her head on his shoulder. "I am so lucky to have found you." "I am the lucky one," Cole said. In 1892, Kate gave birth to their 3rd child, another son they named Thomas. He was a happy baby with a loud laugh and an easygoing temperament. James, now 7, took his role as big brother seriously, and Elizabeth, at 5, was endlessly fascinated by the new baby. The ranch continued to grow, but Cole and Kate were careful not to expand beyond their ability to manage. They hired selectively, prioritized quality over quantity, and maintained the high standards that had become the Brennan Ranch's reputation. Several of the original crew members, including Samuel and Marcus, were promoted to leadership positions, and a new generation of hands joined the operation. Dutch, now in his 60s, finally retired from active work in 1894. Cole built him a small house on the ranch property, and Dutch spent his days working with the horses at a slower pace, advising when asked and enjoying the peace he had earned. He was like a grandfather to James, Elizabeth, and Thomas, telling them stories and teaching them the old ways. In 1896, Kate's younger sister, the one who had married a school teacher, reached out after years of silence. She had heard of the Brennan Ranch's success and wanted to reconnect. Kate was wary at first, the old wounds still tender, but Cole encouraged her to give her sister a chance. The reunion was emotional. Kate's sister, Margaret, apologized for not standing up for Kate when their uncle had forced her out. They talked for hours, catching up on lost years, and while the relationship would never be what it once was, they established a cautious friendship. Margaret and her family visited the ranch several times, and Kate found some healing in reconnecting with that part of her past. As the 1890s drew to a close, Cole and Kate looked toward the new century with optimism. James, now 14, was already taking on significant responsibilities around the ranch. He had his father's strategic mind and his mother's work ethic, and it was clear he would be ready to take over the operation when the time came. Elizabeth, 12, was proving to be an exceptional horsewoman with a gift for training difficult animals. Thomas, 7, was still finding his path, but showed an interest in the business side of ranching, asking questions about markets and prices that surprised and impressed Cole. One evening in the spring of 1899, Cole and Kate rode out to the ridge where he had proposed to her 15 years earlier. They did this occasionally, a private tradition that allowed them to reflect on how far they had come. "I have been thinking," Cole said as they looked out over the land, "about stepping back a bit, not retiring but letting James take on more responsibility. I want to spend more time with you, with the children while they are still home. I do not want to wake up one day and realize I missed their childhoods because I was too focused on work." Kate nodded. "I have been thinking the same thing. James is ready for more. Elizabeth and Thomas still need us. And I want to enjoy what we have built instead of always working toward the next goal." "We make a good team," Cole said. "The best team," Kate agreed. They implemented the plan gradually over the next year. James took on more leadership, making decisions about day-to-day operations while Cole focused on long-term strategy and financial management. Kate shifted her energy to training Elizabeth and Thomas, passing on the skills and knowledge she had accumulated over the years. By 1901, the transition was complete. James, at 19, was effectively running the ranch's operations. He was mature beyond his years, respected by the crew, and showed every sign of being an even better rancher than his father. Cole and Kate remained involved, but in advisory roles that allowed them more freedom. They used that freedom to travel a bit, taking trips to Denver and even once to San Francisco, showing each other the wider world while always being eager to return home. They also spent more time with Elizabeth and Thomas, riding the property, teaching them about the land, and passing on the values that had guided their own lives. In 1905, James married a young woman named Sarah, the daughter of a neighboring rancher. She was smart, capable, and completely unintimidated by the strong personalities in the Brennan family. Kate liked her immediately, recognizing a kindred spirit. The wedding was large and joyous, with people coming from all over Wyoming to celebrate. Elizabeth, at 20, had become one of the finest horse trainers in the territory. She had no interest in marriage yet, too focused on her work and her own dreams. Cole and Kate supported her completely, proud of her independence and skill. Thomas, 15, was developing into a sharp businessman. He had started accompanying Cole on buying trips and had a natural talent for negotiation. Cole suspected that Thomas would be the one to expand the ranch into new ventures, perhaps even beyond cattle and horses. One evening in late 1905, Cole and Kate sat on their porch as they had done countless times before. They were both in their late 40s now, silver threading through their hair, but they were healthy and happy. Their children were thriving. The ranch was prosperous. Their love had deepened over the years into something rich and unshakable. "Do you remember that first day?" Cole asked. "When I found you mending fences," Kate laughed. "You ask me that at least once a year." "Yes, I remember. I was so angry at the world, so determined to prove I did not need anyone. And then I made you my foreman," Cole said. "And then you made me your foreman," Kate agreed. "You gave me a chance when no one else would. You saw me, really saw me, not as a woman who should know her place, but as a person with skills and value." "I saw an extraordinary person," Cole said. "I still do. Every day," Kate took his hand, squeezing gently. "We built a good life, Cole, better than I ever dreamed possible." "We built it together," Cole said. "Every fence post, every decision, every challenge we faced, together." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky. In the distance, they could hear James giving instructions to the crew for the next day. Elizabeth's laugh carried from the barn where she was working with a young horse. Thomas was inside, studying ledgers and making notes. The next generation was taking over, but the foundation Cole and Kate had built would endure. They had created more than just a successful ranch. They had created a legacy of hard work, integrity, and love. They had proven that partnership, real partnership built on mutual respect and shared dreams, could overcome any obstacle. In 1908, James and Sarah had their first child, a boy they named Cole after his grandfather. Holding his grandson for the first time, Cole felt the circle complete. He was passing on not just a ranch but values, traditions, and the knowledge that love and work combined could build something that lasted. Kate, holding their grandson shortly after, whispered to the baby, "Your grandfather gave me everything when he made me his foreman. I hope you find someone who sees you as clearly as he saw me." As the years continued, Cole and Kate gradually transitioned into the role of grandparents and advisors. They watched with pride as James ran the ranch with skill and innovation. They cheered as Elizabeth earned a reputation as one of the finest horse trainers in the West, eventually opening her own training facility on ranch land. They supported Thomas as he expanded the ranch's business interests, establishing contracts with railroad companies and eastern markets. More grandchildren came, filling the ranch with laughter and energy. Cole and Kate loved them all fiercely, passing on stories and skills, teaching them to love the land as they did. On their 30th wedding anniversary in 1914, the entire family gathered for a celebration. James and Sarah were there with their 3 children. Elizabeth, still unmarried but content, brought several of her prize horses to show off. Thomas, now married to a lawyer's daughter from Laramie, attended with his wife and their infant daughter. The crew, many of whom had been with the ranch for decades, joined the celebration. Dutch, now in his 80s and moving slowly but still sharp of mind, gave a toast. "I have known Cole since he was a boy," Dutch said, his voice still strong despite his age. "And I was there the day he met Kate, when she was mending fences faster than the entire crew combined. I thought he was crazy when he made her foreman, a woman running a ranch crew. It was unheard of. But Cole saw what I did not see right away. He saw a partner. He saw someone who would make everything better, and he was right. These 30 years watching them build this ranch, build this family, build this life together has been the privilege of my lifetime." There were tears and laughter, stories and memories. Cole and Kate danced together as they had at their wedding, moving slowly now but with the same love that had brought them together all those years ago. "Thank you," Cole whispered to Kate as they danced, "for taking a chance on a cowboy who made you his foreman." "Thank you for seeing me," Kate replied, "for giving me a home, a purpose, and a love I treasure every single day." They lived many more years, watching the ranch prosper under James's leadership, watching their grandchildren grow, and enjoying the peace that came from a life well lived. They took rides together almost every day, checking on cattle, examining fence lines, and simply being together on the land they loved. Dutch passed away peacefully in 1916, and they buried him on a hill overlooking the ranch. It was what he had requested, wanting to be part of the land he had devoted his life to. Cole and Kate mourned him deeply but celebrated a life that had been full and meaningful. In 1922, Cole began to slow down. He was 66 years old, and while his mind remained sharp, his body was showing the wear of a lifetime of hard work. Kate, 64, remained remarkably healthy, but she too was feeling the weight of years. They spent more time sitting on the porch, watching the world go by, content in each other's company. One evening in late autumn, as the sun set in brilliant colors, Cole turned to Kate. "I have had a good life," he said, "better than I deserved, and it is all because of you." "We gave each other good lives," Kate said, as she always did when he said such things. "I was lost when I came here, and you gave me a home. You gave me purpose and love and a family. I could never have imagined being this happy." "I love you," Cole said. "I have loved you from the moment you told me your fence work was better than my cruise because you were absolutely right." Kate laughed, the sound still young despite her years. "I love you too. Forever." Cole passed away peacefully in his sleep in January of 1923 with Kate beside him. He was 67 years old, and he died as he had lived, surrounded by the love of his family and secure in the knowledge that everything he had built would endure. Kate mourned him deeply, but carried on with the strength she had always possessed. She remained active in the ranch's operations, advising James and delighting in her grandchildren and great-grandchildren who were beginning to arrive. She would often ride out to the ridge where Cole had proposed, sitting there for hours, talking to him as if he could hear, telling him about the family and the ranch and how much she missed him. Kate lived another 7 years, passing away in 1930 at the age of 72. She died as she had wished, on the ranch she loved, surrounded by family. They buried her next to Cole on the same ridge where they had shared so many important moments, overlooking the land they had built together. The Brennan Ranch continued to thrive for generations, each new leader building on the foundation Cole and Kate had established. The story of the woman who mended fences faster than the entire crew combined, and the cowboy who made her his foreman became family legend, passed down to each new generation as an example of what could be achieved through hard work, mutual respect, and love. James ran the ranch until his own sons were ready to take over, maintaining the high standards his parents had set. Elizabeth's horse training facility became renowned throughout the West, producing some of the finest working horses in the country. Thomas's business acumen ensured the ranch remained profitable even through economic downturns. The cabin where Kate had lived when she first arrived was preserved as a family museum, filled with mementos of that first year when everything changed. The fence line where Cole first found her working became known as Kate's Line, and was always maintained to the highest standard as a tribute to her skill and dedication. Years later, when Cole and Kate's great-grandchildren asked about them, they would hear the story of two people who found each other when both needed it most. They would hear about a woman who refused to accept society's limitations, and a man who had the wisdom to recognize true quality regardless of convention. They would learn about partnership, respect, and the kind of love that builds legacies. The land that Cole and Kate had worked so hard to build and preserve continued to flourish, rich and productive, a testament to their vision and their love. The fences were always strong, properly set and maintained, just as Kate had taught. The cattle were healthy and well managed, following the systems Cole and Kate had developed. And every sunset painted the ridge where they were buried in colors that seemed like a daily celebration of the life they had shared. In the end, their story was simple but profound. A woman alone in the world had found a home. A man seeking a partner had found his match. Together they had built not just a ranch but a dynasty, not just a business but a family, not just a life but a legacy that would endure for generations. And it all began with fences being mended faster than anyone thought possible. and a cowboy wise enough to recognize that the woman doing the work was exactly who he had been waiting for his entire life.